How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we just need to have an honest conversation. Is Denver, and for that matter, Colorado, being ruined by politics? We're here to talk about it, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to the Denver Metro, Colorado Front Range, this is definitely the channel for you, and you're going to want to click that subscribe button. And as much as I try to be informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors. And we're helping people like you move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I'm always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're really here for, and that is Denver and Colorado being ruined by politics? All right, so let's break this down. This is not a left versus right. This is not a liberal versus conservative. This is a reality check of the state of affairs in the Denver metro area, parts of Colorado, and how it's impacting people. This is about people who are living here, people who have lived here, who are thinking of moving here, people who are leaving Denver and the metro area for this reason. I want to set some ground rules with all of you out of mutual respect. I appreciate your beliefs and your thoughts, and you can share any comments that you'd like, and I'd love to engage with them, with one exception. We're going to be respectful in those comments. So if you're aggressive, if you want to call a bunch of people morons or this or that, I'm going to delete your comment. No one is going to see it. So as long as we're on level there, as long as we can be respectful, we're good to go. That's all I'm saying. With that, let's really jump into this. And the first topic I want to bring up, obviously as a mortgage lender, is we're going to talk about housing. And no, not from a you should buy a house standpoint, but really what is happening with housing and how is politics playing a role in this. So the housing market in Denver Metro, and for the nation for that matter, has certainly cooled since COVID, higher interest rates and all of those things. Some of the changes in Denver and the metro area is the addition of ADU laws, or accessory dwelling unit laws. There were a lot of restrictions in that, what somebody could do with their own property if they wanted to, say, build a small apartment or mother-in-law suite above their garage. And Denver is currently staring down about a 19,000 unit deficit. And that's just kind of Denver proper. So Denver in the metro area, like a lot of places in the nation, needs housing. And the thought was allowing these accessory dwelling units would help that. So currently, ADUs are allowed in roughly 70% of the city's lots. Again, that's just Denver proper, but that rule is starting to spread. Areas like Lakewood, where I live, Arvada, Wheat Ridge is looking at it, Aurora. So allowing more of these property owners to build some type of unit in addition to their homes where a potential renter, whether that's long-term or short-term, could reside. But as you would imagine, red tape rules, and this is where some people will compare Colorado to a California. There's a ton of red tape, and it takes the city or the municipality you're in a lot of time in some instances to get through this. So you've got costs are high, you've got neighbors pushing back because they don't want something on your property that might affect them. And again, there's certain situations where you might understand that if it has to do with a view or something of that nature or how it's going to encroach on their property. But the permitting process, I can tell you, at least Denver has moved about as fast as molasses. And Mayor Johnson, who again, there's going to be some love-hate here for that, is apparently working to improve that. The other thing as far as creating new units and new housing is the cost of regulation. It is estimated that for a single family house, roughly 25% of the construction cost is tied into permitting within the city, within the municipalities for the different things that these houses need to do. On multifamily units, so when you're talking about townhomes, duplexes, quadplexes, etc., that cost is extended up to about 42% of the total cost, basically half of the cost of building a home tied up into regulation. So some serious problems there. So we go from the home situation, which again has these deficits. We need more housing and we need regulation to protect people, don't get me wrong, but you also need to address how fast these regulations can be passed along and how much they cost to the builder. So we go from housing to homeless. And let's not hide from the fact that the homeless situation in Denver has gotten far worse since I'd say the early 2010s. Obviously, as the population grew here in Denver, affordability got out of control. And then you throw icing on the cake is COVID, is the pandemic, in which this city let downtown be a free-for-all. That's when you saw a lot of encampments, you saw parks just covered in tents. It turned into a mess, and that mess spread into suburbs. It's been a big issue here in the Denver metro area. So the city, for the most part, has gone all in trying to remedy a situation that, let's again be honest, they created in many ways. So you have the all-in Mile High program, which got roughly 2,500 people indoors, and it closed some of these major encampments that we were seeing around the city. You've got the city's basic income pilot, which is $1,000 a month to certain individuals, and that helped secure about 45% of these people into some type of housing situation. And again, this pilot, this minimum income of $1,000 a month, has its own issues. And I know darn well I'm going to get some responses to that in comments. Some people are for it, and some people are saying, why would we give these people money for nothing? Yet with all of this, with getting 2,500 plus people off the street, with giving some folks a minimum income monthly, we still saw an increase in homeless of roughly 10% from 2023 to 2024. Now, migration, which we're going to get into here in a little bit, certainly played a role in that. But you have a situation where the city's attempting to improve something, and yet it gets worse. Not the best start we could ask for. I just feel the comments coming already. So this is where you again start to have those situations where you have the left saying, hey, we're just scratching the surface. We're just starting to make moves. And then you have folks on the right who are saying, wait a minute, we're spending millions of dollars and I'm still stepping over needles. What the hell is going on here? But the truth is, the vast majority of people just want to be able to go downtown, and they want to be able to walk around feeling safe, not, again, stepping over needles, not stepping over these situations. We're not heartless. We just want to live in a city where we feel more secure. And speaking to that, certainly can't talk about Denver without talking about crime in the metropolitan area and the increase in crime we have seen over the years. Now, some good news to start. The murder rate in the Denver metro area was down 11%, and that was for the third straight year that we saw crime improve there. Violent crime overall in the Denver metro is lower than it was from 2021 highs. Of course, I'm a statistics guy. It's easy for a number to decrease when it starts very high, but still trending in a good direction. But some folks are going to point, and rightfully so, to aggravated assaults, which are up 31% since 2019. Denver still ranks among the worst for car thefts nationwide. And the fact is that people don't feel safe. And that perception is the whole game. That there are certain areas of Denver, or certain people will tell you, we don't go here at night, we don't hang out in these areas. Whether that is reality-based or perception-based, let's be real, there is a mix of that, doesn't matter. If the perception is an area is dangerous, or a city is dangerous, that is a big problem. And right now, for a large amount of people, Denver has that reputation. So enter Prop 128, recently passed. This requires that violent felons now must serve 85% of their sentence. Progressives seem to say that it is a step backwards. Conservatives call it common sense. And in the middle, again, I think most people are just saying, hey, we want fewer sirens, and I want to be able to walk in these great neighborhoods at night. Again, I know how fun the comments will be in that section. Trust me, we've got more coming, but let's pivot to more of business and back to regulation a bit. So here is the common conversation of builders, and this is not just for housing, this is commercial as well. If you want to build in Denver, good luck. You have permit backlogs, you have zoning fights, you have endless fees. Colorado ranks currently as the 6th most regulated state in the union. And right now it is stated that roughly 45% of the rules in place are considered excessive or duplicative. So small business owners, developers, landlords all say the same thing. It's death by 1,000 delays. You want to do some work on your house, you want to build a project, you want to build a skyscraper, you have to face all this regulation, all these permits. And again, I think there's a certain point where we say, hey, you need to have some regulation. You need to have some protections for the consumer in place. And then you have overboard regulation. And that is the feedback we're getting in Denver, that it is just regulation to death. And from one contractor I talked to, his comment was, if a third of your budget is tied into paperwork, why would you even build in that area? So Denver certainly faces also some infrastructure issues, and transportation and traffic being a big item there. So the vision is that you're gonna ditch the car, you're gonna hop on a train, you're gonna ride a bike. The reality is the Denver metro area is a car necessary environment. There's not a lot of areas where you can live, work, just walk everywhere, ride a bike everywhere. So the reality again is that RTD, our transit system and our busing system has made changes to boost reliability, but the routes are still limited. There's just inconsistency in how much you can be helped by these systems, not just from a bus standpoint, but from our light rail. Our light rail is great if you live close to a line, but if you don't, you're just not using it. Bike lanes in Denver have exploded. They're everywhere, but they've also wiped out street parking, especially in commercial areas. So again, you're helping the bikers in one area, you're frustrating drivers in another. That's been a constant state of battle. And who hasn't seen a video of somebody in their car arguing with a biker? Chances are I've been on both sides of that. Or cyclist, should I say cyclist? I'm sorry, folks who ride bikes, I do too, but I don't know exactly what I should call it. So we're gonna call it cyclist going forward. And then when you start talking about living in suburbs, when you're living in Highlands Ranch, in Arvada, a Littleton, a Parker, you have to have a car. There's no way you're getting around Denver without a vehicle at that point. So it's a great idea if you're living in Low-High or you're living remote, but otherwise our transit system is still a major issue. But enough of that like easy stuff that doesn't create too much of a debate. Let's get right back into the thick of things and let's talk about guns.
Okay, you want to talk? Let's talk, huh?
So Denver recently dropped SB 24-1310, which begins in 2026. This requires permits for semi-auto firearms. It requires safety training, fingerprint-based checks. Local agencies have discretion on this. You essentially have to get a permission slip from your local municipality, which again, talking uproar. Gun right folks have already lawyered up. This is something that they're not gonna take easily, as you would imagine. Supporters call it common sense, safety. Opponents call it unconstitutional. They call it overreach. I mean, this is the gun battle nationwide, right? So very interesting to see how Colorado passed this. And even people who are pro-gun laws weren't exactly thrilled with how this got passed. I'll admit, I've been keeping a close eye on it. I am a gun owner. I do believe in some gun laws, but as we watch this will be very interesting. Can't wait to see what comments I get on that, jump to conclusions. But right now, the only thing that we know for sure on this is that there are a lot of court battles that are coming, and it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. And if that topic wasn't fun enough, let's talk about immigration, because everybody loves that. So post Title 42, Denver saw a surge in migrants, many of them from Venezuela. And listen, I'm just gonna be real with you. This is a challenging situation specifically for my family. My wife and her family are Venezuelan immigrants. Legal, I'm gonna make sure I'm clear on that. But immigration laws are very important to us. We keep a close eye on them. And even I can acknowledge it's tough to just know the right or wrong methods of what is working as far as our immigration laws. Again, I'm not stating anyone should break any laws. So you had a situation where thousands upon thousands of migrants showed up to Denver, bussed in. The city and other suburbs around it spent millions of dollars on emergency housing and support. At the end of the day, you have tens of thousands of people who are just showing up in your streets. You have to do something for them. And they also came here at a very cold time of year. Not that you're necessarily leaving people outside in the summertime. So by late 2024, Denver, most of these suburbs, they were out of money. They were tapped, they had spent it all. There was no way they could take more people in. They had to close it off for the most part. Now you have, as rightfully so I can understand, your working class folks here in Denver and in these suburbs who are saying, wait a minute, where is all of our help? we're struggling to afford Denver. We're struggling with housing. We're struggling with all of these challenges, and yet you are giving this to these people. Again, I'll say I don't know if there's a winning situation there. That is a hopeless endeavor. Can I say that it was handled correctly? I'm not qualified, honestly, to do so. I am close friends. I grew up with the mayor of Lakewood, and I know some of the struggles Lakewood, where I live, had dealing with this, and it is still an ongoing struggle that has divided the community as much as anything could. And so in this situation, you had a real challenge for these local governments, and it wasn't cruelty versus compassion. It was hitting a ceiling in which there was no more room. We have hit capacity. What else can you do? And another situation when we talk about capacity and how we can show up for folks is education and the challenges that education and financing are facing here in the Denver metro and Colorado. And whether you have kids or not, whether they're going to school or not, this certainly impacts communities, it impacts property values, you name it. So currently, speaking about Denver proper, DPS or Denver Public School enrollment is down. Right now, Colorado ranks in the bottom third nationally for funding of schools. And it's one of those things where you see it come up on, a bill come election time, and right or wrong, folks just keep voting against a lot of these budget increases. Again, that's a whole other walk, because we certainly want to know where our money is being spent, but to rank in the bottom third, not exactly the best sign. So right now, you have a lot of situations in Colorado where parents are bailing to charters, and they're demanding more say in curriculum, in discipline, in school policy. This is a growing trend. I don't think that's just a Colorado thing. I think to some extent that is nationally, but you're certainly seeing it here. So to some extent, the classroom has become a cultural minefield. You have a lot of people with their input. You've got administration, you've got educators, you've certainly got parents, you've got different perspectives on life. And it's becoming where it's not just about test scores, which we have our own thoughts on how that hasn't been best for education. It's about trust, and that trust is running low. So these challenges with the educational system that are being faced here, a lot of folks, I know me personally, I have leaned more towards, looking at private options, charter options, what have you. We'll see what happens. Certainly, thankfully, my daughter is a few years away from needing, whether it's going to be public or private education. So we'll see how that goes. And then last is just, this growing culture war, if you will. Like, who is Colorado for? What is Colorado about these days? So you have locals who are saying, hey, we're becoming West Coast light. We're becoming California 2.0. And while I think that was something that's been said for 40, 50 years, my parents used to say it to me when I was a little kid growing up here, the reality is, that is the feel. We talk about regulation. We talk about some of the decisions that are happening. You have more rules. You have more taxes. You have more out-of-touch policies that aren't matching what the community wants. You've got newcomers from places like California and New York who still find it cheaper, who still find it freer, who still feel that it's more livable here. So they may come from these areas that they feel, man, you haven't seen regulation. Like California, New York, that's regulation. We're coming to California, to Colorado to have looser regulation. Big flashpoints here are pretty obvious. Guns, education, environment policy, policing, housing. These are the big ticket items here. And it's just not political, obviously, as it is nationwide, it's personal. And a lot of people, I say the pendulum swings and you see these differences. I think the people of Denver, this is, a blue state. It is. It was red at one point, kind of turned purple as I got probably into high school, early 20s, and now it is firmly blue. But I feel that that pendulum has swung too far blue. And I think people are starting to pull. I think there's a lot of folks in Colorado and in Denver who would like to see it return to more of a purple, more of a balanced state. We'll see how that plays out. Again, it's not a left versus right. It is genuinely an old Colorado versus new Colorado and where that balance is. Things are going to evolve, but where are they evolving to? So has Denver been ruined? No, not by a long shot. Do we have some issues? Yes. Has it been stretched? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. But we have runaway growth. We have messy policies that hopefully will be addressed. We have this lack of consensus on who we are and who we want to be. But overall, when you look at Denver, despite all of these issues, it remains an incredible city. It has incredible people. It has natural beauty. It has limitless potential. We continue to see new growth, new evolution, new businesses coming here. Still, these great communities being built. But with all of this, potential means nothing without execution. And right now, Denver, metro area, Colorado, we are great at vision. We are struggling with delivery. And if we don't fix that, if we risk losing the balance, the opportunity, the charm that made Denver and Colorado such a great place to move, we're in for harder days. I am a Colorado native, grew up in Denver, returned to Denver, can't see myself living anywhere else. I see better days and the best days of Denver and the metropolitan area and Colorado yet to come. Hopefully, other people see that same vision as well. Again, I'd love to hear your comments, your concerns. Hit me up with a message, email, phone call, text, comments. Please, again, keep them respectful. That's what we're here for, all looking to learn. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Jimmy Everett. That was, has Denver and Colorado been ruined by politics? Until I see you next time, peace.